time, we ended on a fist brawl at the bottom of the ship where the wizard provoked by accident the barbarian and then continued to further provoke.
Yes, because when dealing with the person that hates magic and you actually piss them off, the proper response is to just start casting spells at them, apparently.
Oh yeah.
So
That's not how it
the barbarian has been temporarily frozen and pulled away from the wizard. The wizard had no longer getting beaten into the ground, and the message has been passed on that there's going to be a meeting in about an hour.
Right, I think, yeah, the logical thing to do, because of just the way it ended, is you just fast forward everybody showing up at the meeting with whatever irritated feelings they're going to have when they get there.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I assume then we're going to just say everyone gets up and gets ready and meets in about an hour. Any particular place they're going to have this meeting?
Probably on the deck of the ship, so there's plenty of room for everybody.
Alrighty.
I think Elena will send Gara off in her place to tell her everything that happens in the meeting.
Send who up?
Garoth. Garoth, because
we're still not sure why you were supposed to be there too. You know.
Well, because Sloan is there.
Doesn't matter. You're still supposed to be there, and thank you, Aaron. Just warning you. This was supposed to be an everybody meeting.
Yeah, you're not going to be standing anywhere near Thelona.
You really think that's any difference?
And presumably she will have calmed down enough by then to not try to run through everybody to kill you.
Well, I'm just thinking what my character would do, because she's probably still in shock of what just happened. Let's think about it. Just carry on.
Well, we're kind of going straight
Well, that's
to
it. We can't just carry on because you're literally grinding it to a halt because you're suddenly not wanting to show up.
I mean, I'm going to be up there. I'm obedient. I'm obedient from living in the monastery. So, if the leadership person calls me to order or says I gotta do something, I go do it.
All right, so I guess the meeting's happening without Valena, so whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So yep, the others show up. Geralt, Theobald, and Giselle.
I think Randy might want to explain the kind of mood that Thelona's in when she comes up.
Well, first of all, Thelona will be about 5-10 minutes late. The reason why becomes obviously when she comes up, because she has all of her stuff packed up in her travel bag.
Okay.
And before even the meeting can begin, she marches right up to Azina and's like, cash me out, I'm done.
Oh, is this how the campaign's gonna end?
Awkward.
I go, are you sure about that?
If the situation has become I can't even get rest without that witch casting spells on me in my sleep, I no longer want to be here.
Well, I'm not going to let her go anywhere near your room again while you're asleep. I didn't realize she'd snuck off when I was talking about sending someone down to wake you up.
You really think that makes it better?
Well, Listen, my plan was. Just listen for a second. My plan was for us to take 2 separate jobs that would involve sending different people to. So at least for a little while, you won't be anywhere near her, because I'm not gonna put you both on the same team. You want to at least take time to clear your head and think about it first.
I can think it's not going to change my opinion. I will not be on the same team with her. If she so much as casts a spell in my direction again, I take her head.
I was gonna say, out of character, is Theobald have any kind of reaction to this? Because
He's probably very sheepishly just kind of standing there. Most likely he's tried to have this conversation with her too and realizes that she's very set in this decision. And he can also kind of sympathize a little bit with her position on that.
Not only did she cast magic on it, he cast mind magic. You know, the same kind that had me enslaved for most of my life.
Of course, Azina also wasn't there when it happened because she doesn't know exactly what happened before they all got down there. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with this situation.
Welcome to the big chair.
Yeah,
I'm
welcome to be team leader.
I'm talking out of character.
Yeah,
No, what I mean
so
is
are
when
we.
you're
Welcome to being the team leader. The GM's just sitting here going, yes.
I'm just like hanging out in the background.
Because I don't see any way to resolve this that doesn't force us to lose a player.
I mean, you could offer money as recompense, maybe, but
We all have so much money, I don't think money is gonna convince Thelona to change her mind. I just had a thought. So, I do look at Thelona and say, you do realize if you leave, you're not taking all of the star metal with you.
No, just my share.
Tense moment of player thinking.
I guess is there anything I can do to make you change your mind?
Alona's pretty adamant.
Azina's asking Thelona if there's anything I can do to make her change her mind about leaving.
You mean besides giving me the witch's head?
Yes, besides that.
Not really. I've spent far too much of my life mentally controlled. I will not be put in a situation where I will be controlled again by anyone.
I have an out of character suggestion.
What?
Is there anything in the game that allows you to cast an anti-magic, like, force field around the ship so that no one can use magic?
Not
That
sort
would
of.
be that would be self-destructive.
Not short of somebody accidentally fucking up with a wild magic spell.
There are ways of doing it, but it would have to be not. You can't just do it on the ship. You would have to actually build a ship with an anti-magic field in mind, and
Right.
that would really stop the mages from doing their job whenever
Not-
you're in combat.
Not just the mages. That'd be half the party would lose a good chunk of their
Yeah.
abilities.
Exactly. It would gimp us or disable
Yeah, and
us
the-
a
and
bit.
the- yes,
it would
and
be
the other-
something to work around in the campaign.
And some of the
But-
rest, and most of the rest of you are already using magic weapons for that fact too.
Mhm.
So I would assume that would negate the bonuses of those magic weapons.
And there's
While they're only while they're in the field.
and
yeah,
there's
but
also
the ship is the
no
field.
well, there's also no guarantee that Thelona would find any solace in us banning magic from the ship,
Right.
like forcing the banning
Yeah,
of magic.
I
not
don't-
just
I
promising
don't
not
s-
to use it.
I don't see a way around this situation that doesn't involve one of the players rolling a new character. So I don't know what we're gonna do, because I can't think of anything. Like, Valona won't tell me anything aside from cutting off Elena's head. I don't know what Azina can do to convince her to stay.
First thing you got to realize is Valona is a true barbarian. She is very black and white in her thinking.
Mm-hmm. Well, we get that.
I got one idea. I go, so I know you weren't up here when we saved the guy, but you do remember the guy we saved that was entranced into rowing in a circle and was completely exhausted and malnourished when we found him. I'm saying this to Thelona.
She says nothing, but
I go, keep in mind that if you leave, you're giving up on stopping the people that did that.
or I can go and hunt them on my own.
It doesn't seem like that would be something that would work very well, considering they're a bit better equipped to not be taken on solo than the White Witch was.
Lona shrugs. Nonetheless, I'll be able to do it without worrying about getting a spell in the back. The fact that you are willing to absolutely compromise and let her get away with this does not fill me with any kind of positive thinking.
You didn't say anything about whether or not letting her just get away with it. Your only solution to solving the problem is to kill her.
That's basically what I do to witches.
So, how exactly was it logical to work for me for so long, then, knowing I'm able to use magic?
Thus far, you've not used it to the detriment of others other than those doing evil. You've not tried to infect my mind. You've not tried to control others using magic. I was willing to take that based on that alone. She has broken that rule. To be honest, her fascination with undead has always worried me. But this was a line that should not have been crossed.
You know the worst out of character. You know the worst thing about this is because Valena refused to come up here. She's not up here to try and say anything on her behalf to dissuade Thelona from doing this.
Yeah, I mean, like, And
Well-
that's the other thing.
You can't
Like,
say
we-
she's not up here to say that she panicked.
Mhm.
Well, that's the thing. I think she's really afraid of Flona right now, and at the same time, she wants her head. What's to stop her from just whopping it off right then and there?
The fact that there would be a bunch of people in between you and her, which I mean doesn't really matter now anyhow, because your character already sat the meeting out, and now I'm basically fucked and have to end the game session now because we can't do anything about this.
I mean, you can go down and get Velena, or you can order her to be pulled from her room and brought up to face the music about what was going on. Or you could just talk her into going up into the meeting, or... These are all out of character, obviously. But...
Yes, and all of them involve ignoring that Thelona's already said that her only solution is to kill her. Like realistically, after hearing that, my character's not going to want to bring her up here.
Yeah. Which means we can't even stop Velena from using magic, even temporarily, like temporarily binding her powers or whatever.
We don't have any way to do that anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, is Velena really that bloodthirsty?
She can be. She is a barbarian.
Well, yeah, she can be, but is she a villain?
No.
No, in her
But the
eyes,
thing- but
it's
the
not
thing is
being a
you gotta-
villain. It's literally saving other people from the same thing she's gone through.
You gotta the thing is, you gotta think about the setting. Nobody in this setting trusts magic. They assume everyone that uses it is evil.
And Felona spent most of her life mentally dominated by evil wizards.
Like, I basically, as far as I see it, we're at an impasse here now. We can't continue the story.
Well, I have an idea.
We can continue it, but it just will have to continue without Ran if he decides that the character's leaving.
I have an
without
idea.
Velena.
So, what if Velena was scurrying around trying to listen in at a distance?
So you're suddenly changing what your character is doing? You can,
Well, I mean, she's freaked out, right? Like, she's really
Yeah,
freaked
but the
out.
thing is, you said you were going to stay in your room. It's not something you
Well,
can
it's
just change
like-
your mind about.
Well, I mean, that's the thing I was thinking about. Would she be curious to see what's going on? Like, just scurrying around, like, through a slit of a door or something?
I mean, maybe. I guess that would make sense because you're still technically not up on the deck. You're just trying to eavesdrop.
Right. So, maybe she's listening through a door.
basically, you're listening from the kitchen.
Yeah, listening through a kitchen. And thinking about what she would say carefully, but at the same time, she's also afraid of what Felona may do to her. So, yeah, that wouldn't help the situation if she said that. So, I was gonna say it was self-defense, but
No, that would
Except
not
she
help.
hadn't.
well,
Especially
in
because she-
her mind, if
Yes.
someone a big, raging, angry barbarian charges at you, first
She
thing
didn't
you-
charge at you yet. You cast a spell at her the moment she got up.
Yeah, cause fear, which is to get her afraid of her so she wouldn't get the crap beat out of her, which ironically did happen. So she has to think about her words very carefully and think. Well, that's the only option I can see her saying, but at the same time, what the hell? I had a good run.
Wait,
You
out
just
of character, is there a way that you could kill yourself and then resurrect yourself?
I don't think so. Not unless she becomes a lich.
And that would only make the situation worse.
yeah. Well, I think
I might calm
but-
Felona down until later when she realizes that the dead person's walking around again.
as a lit. I'm just kidding. No, Blana is gonna. You
How
just
many
hear
points
the.
do I
You're
get
just
for
gonna
killing a
hear.
wizard repeatedly?
Yeah, you're just gonna hear 2 words from the doorway. I'm sorry. Because that's the only thing.
I'm guessing Thelona probably has no real reaction to that.
Not really.
I was scared. I didn't want to be killed. And I acted on impulse to defend myself. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. It was shameful of me for do that. I know that's probably not going to mean much to you, but if you leave, I won't stop you or blame you.
There's a long silence.
I also kind of look at Thelona and go, you know, I understand that you've been through some messed up shit, but also try to remember part of the reason she's the way she is because they indoctrinated her. That she's only really just recently starting to come out of that.
That does not help. You're just stating more reasons why I can't trust her anymore. So you're saying your own fear compelled you to do the one thing you knew I hated most? Did you think I would not recognize that type of magic as it crawled into my mind? Tried to compel me to think, to feel a certain way.
Do you even know that you had that history?
She knew.
Yeah, she's been very public about that.
Honestly.
That in a way kind of feels like a thing that if we were thinking about it at the time, Velena should have done like some kind of roll to see if she remembered that.
Yeah, but I think that was kind of the point I'm about to make is that Elena is going to say, not really because it was out of impulse. To be honest, if you had to face someone like yourself, would you not sweat a little?
No, I would look forward to the challenge.
Yeah, but you're saying that to someone that's half your size.
And I've faced things twice my size before. Not often, but I've done it.
I'm not as strong as you. I don't expect you to understand someone in my position, what it's like to be constantly afraid, constantly watch your back, fear of the unknown, feeling completely helpless. Because you're Bologna, you're the strongest barbarian, and I don't think there's a single person here that can challenge you.
A
You know
certain
what would've
Sumerian gives you a
happened.
side look.
Who gives her side
A
look?
certain Sumerian
Yeah,
gives her a
right.
side look.
She is stronger than Garroth, though. There's no denying that.
There's a little wiggle room. It'd be a really close call.
I don't think their hit points agree with you.
The armor class does.
simply know their armor class is pretty damn close.
Mm-hmm.
Their
So
armor class
it's
is
literally a matter of who rolls the least shit in a round of combat.
Do you know what would have happened had you just woken me up?
You kill me?
No, you probably would have been punched. Once. Once. Before I snapped out of it. But the spell was a betrayal. Pure and simple.
Maybe you'll accept this compromise. You both have your personal feelings about what happened. If it happens, if she does it again, in spite of knowing how you feel, I'll kill her myself.
I will hold you to that.
I would gladly give my life.
So, either way, you should probably spend some time away from each other. I had grabbed 2 missions from the Mercenary Guild. Since you're in a particularly foul mood because of what happened, I'll let you pick which one you want to go on, and then I'll pick the teams. There's a mission to guard a merchant that thinks people are trying to kill him.
To better specify, actually, that wasn't a merchant. It was a mission to go protect a lord who was he was planning something he's not yet publicly released that he's planning, but needs bodyguards to help protect themselves.
Okay.
And the other one was that a local farm that's got a decent amount of crops that usually come in every year has been uncontactable for at least half a month now.
Whichever one you want to take is up to you.
I'll take the farm. The last thing I want to deal with today is a bunch of hoity-toity nobles pissing on my table manners.
Alright, so... how should I handle this? So, obviously Theobald's gonna go with you, as I'm sure he won't object to that.
Quietly nods.
I'll also send with you, Valerius, Tarthun, and Sabutai. The rest of us and what is it? Actually, I'm trying to remember which one's Karnwin and which one's Naristar.
Hardwin, I'm pretty sure is the veneer.
No, that's Kynan. I don't think Matt has a character sheet for him.
Carwin is one of the newer guys. He is technically a barbarian, I believe. No, a fighter. He's a regular beefy strength fighter. And Narsar, I believe he's the Aquilonian. Yeah, he's an Aquilonian, and he's a bit more of a fancy fighter.
Okay, so my group will be me, Garoth, Valena, Giselle, and Naristar. While the rest, anyone else that's left, will just guard the ship.
All right.
And obviously, sending Tarthun with Alona, so she still has the mage, but it's one that knows not to piss her off.
And one, as far as you're aware, doesn't actually cast spells.
On people, like those kind of spells, anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he casts the offensive spells, which honestly, Thelona doesn't have that much problem with combat spells.
So what is this new mission again? This is
You, you're going with Thelona to investigate a farm. I'm basically sending
okay.
both the clerics, but I have healing magic myself, so we don't have to have one with our group.
So okay, so yeah, you're sending.
I basically split the players up so that Thelona's not the only player character in that group.
And which NPCs you sent with them? You sent
Arthune and Sabotai, so they still got an archer.
Sabotai, alright. I want to make sure I get all these right because I'm also going to... I do have maps ready for some of the events that are possibly going to happen here. And also, really quickly, I found out how to add Mpc sheets to character things, so...
Basically, we got 2 5-man groups that are going to both the missions, while the rest of the crew guard the ship. Because I don't want to take everybody that's capable off the ship.
Yeah, you want to leave some of them on there to keep an eye on things in case anything goes south at the ship itself.
So I want somebody there aside from a water elemental and a wolf to guard the ship.
And a parrot.
And a parrot.
Oh, and the raven. I keep forgetting about the raven, too.
I picture the raven, the wolf, the water elemental, and the parrot just playing poker.
Rock pieces of meat! Green glittering prizes.
Jill's over at Full House.
Alright, so he gets removed from this map. You get removed from this
Yeah.
map. And you get removed
Getting
from
separated up, Thelona would miss the wolf.
that.
But the wolf belongs to the person Thelona hates the most.
I know. She likes the wolf, hates the person.
Alright, so
But
who's
the
coming
wolf
with
accompanies her when she plays her lute badly.
who's coming with Azina now? So it'd be
Yaroth, Valena, Giselle, and who was the other? Narester, the
Western. Okay. Yeah, you haven't really gotten to see much of him. Oop.
I believe he's he's more of like an agility fighter, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's the agility fighter and not really gotten the chance to do anything much.
And obviously, while we're deciding all this, I also tell Roger he's in charge of the ship. And actually, I asked Valena to tell the water elemental to do anything Roger says while we're gone.
She does.
Okie doke. And armor class.
Because honestly, that water elemental is probably the strongest thing on the ship once we all leave.
That for sure, unarguably one of the strongest things there. Yeah. All right. I think I have all the cast ready for the different maps. So, with that, I take it you're all gonna part ways now and go to your separate adventures.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, right after that, Thelona goes right down to the hold and goes, "All right, Boo, you ready for a, you done being pooped up? Ready for a little trip?"
The horses and he's obviously anxious to move.
Oh yeah, because the horses that haven't been used in forever are going to actually get used.
They've been down there. They've been well fed. They've been getting groomed.
Speak with animals.
The horses have been down there. They've been well fed, and then some of the crew have been taking turns helping clean them up and clean up after them.
I'm sure they've probably been taken for like short walks whenever we actually
Whenever
stop.
there's pauses, yeah, some of the crewmates will help take them out for walks. Oddly enough, the cook seems to be really good with animals.
Is it to the Lord? Is it a horse ride or a walk to him?
The Lord is actually within the city.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we won't need the horses.
So you won't
for
need
that.
the horses. So, as a matter of fact, all the horses probably get loaned out to the extra crew members that are going to go out to the farm.
Valina, as she walks to the Lord through the city, she's just going to be holding her Arcano medallion, just kind of whisper a prayer and just keep to herself the whole trip there.
Probably for the best. So actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to decide Group A and Group B. I'm going to find me a coin here
Decide who's going first.
and decide who's going first for a little bit. So, heads, Azina, tails, Thalona's group goes first.
You know, originally I was actually just gonna have Thelona with a.
Can I choose to accept or decline?
Oh, we're going first? Sure. Actually, yeah, you know what? Yeah, heads, Ozzy gets to pick who goes first. Tails, Miran gets to pick who's going first for the groups.
I was gonna say originally I'd just give Thelona a bunch of NPCs, but then I realized that would probably be kind of boring.
And it'd be mostly me.
Yeah, it'd be mostly you and Randy talking.
And Tails, Thalona's group gets to choose who goes first.
I will decline and let.
Let Ozzy's group go first. All right.
Mhm.
So, I will say this.
Crap,
For
a lot of popcorn.
For Ozzy's group, you're not sure how long this is going to take. For Thalona's group, you do realize, charting out the course to the farm, that it's going to take you at least half a day, maybe more, to get out there. So you're probably not going to actually interact with the farm until the morning of the next day.
Yep.
So
We're
almost-
doing it in chronological order anyway.
So yeah, so we're going to try and do this in semi-chronological, so reversing backwards from finding that out and proceeding forward. Ozzy, your crew is in town. You've parted ways from the ship now, and the lot of you are headed off to meet this lord. Proceed.
Is there anything we encounter along the way that, like, we know where to go, right?
You have a good idea where to go. The as you're looking through the instructions, it does lead you to tell you which part of town, and it doesn't take much because the city itself actually road maps itself. So you eventually find your way to the right part of town, and eventually are leading your way up to the Lord's home, where he
Okay,
wants
so-
to have a private meeting with whoever would like to take up the position of guard duty for him.
So while we're walking, I actually I whisper to Giselle. So tell me, did I handle that right?
Giselle kind of smiles and goes, I think you handled it quite well. I was actually surprised you managed to get her to calm down a bit. I really did expect her to leave. She seemed very fervent on it.
I kind of look at Valena and then I go, I think we can agree that the two of you are never going to be alone ever again.
That's fine.
What was that?
Valina just kind of says in a sad tone, "That's fine."
I realize Valena's actually still missing health from that encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's black and blue.
Question.
Yes.
So we're going through the city, right?
Yes.
Are we passing any temples on the way there?
You might see the odd temple here or there. A lot of this region you're going to find mostly Mitra, though.
Okay.
But also, I would argue that since you're going into nicer areas of town, you are actually seeing some of the nicer and nicer cathedrals made out to Mitra. And maybe the rare altar.
Dang it, I'm in the wrong group.
So
I don't think you're going to see many temples to Darketo in a town.
Because
Yeah,
if you were in
Dark
this
Kettle is
group,
already
they
a
would
weird
never
kind
get
of
to their
small group.
destination.
Hmm?
No,
What?
Erin was complaining that she was in the wrong group. I'm like, no, you're in the right group. Because if you were in that group, they would never get to their destination.
That being said, also, being on horseback, you're kind of racing by some of the locales, but you are getting to see some of the Mitra shrines here and there as well on your way out, Aaron.
Sweet.
So you don't get to sit there and ponder them long, but you do get to see maybe one or two of the fancier ones on your way out, and it's just like, ooh. Because Argos, while it's not purely a Mitra worshipping place like brain. It's not a purely Mitra worshipping place like Aquilonia. They still ally themselves a lot with Aquilonia, and that has, in the shuffle of things, also inscribed some of the religious beliefs from Aquilonia down to the southern regions of Argos.
I just noticed this on the second map. It says Argos on that piece of paper over the map, and then it says Argos over the place that's actually Argos.
Yeah.
I just find that kind of funny because it's like, why did you need to put that on the map twice?
Because it's originally a map centered on Argos, and they wanted to make sure you know that's what the main focus of this map is, even though it also includes Zungar and a couple other things.
Yeah.
It's from their it's from the Conan game, on the tabletop game. You know, the one with the combat engine that's really awkward.
Because I know we have a bit of an oddball group. I do kind of like keep an eye out as we're walking to see if anyone's giving us like weird looks or anything.
You don't get weird looks initially. You get weird looks as you're heading into the richer part of the city, because now you're running past a bunch of proper nobles and a few stick in the muds here and there, and you are getting a lot of side glances like, who are these riffraff? But then kind of shrug and continue on their business because it's rude to stare.
Right.
As long as you're not hanging about and looking like you're up to shady, good business, they kind of just stare for a moment and then go, okay, whatever, and move on.
Yeah, I think Melina would be just holding her aim like Dark Kettle the whole time in her between her two hands as she's just uttering prayers on the way to the Lord.
As you continue to do that, there is a big, friendly, meaty hand that kind of pats you on the top of your head and just goes, keep it calm. I know you're nervous. Matter of fact, even the big barbarian is looking around for a moment and just goes, I really don't like walled-in cities. Keeps walking. A few paces further down the road, out of earshot of other locals, how is the wind even moving this place?
It's to keep the...
I think he's implying he doesn't even understand how there's a breeze.
He's implying that there's not a lot of air movement as opposed to just being outside of a walled city.
I think
even to his nostrils, it's getting stale in here.
And I think Melina just says that's the point, and then goes back to praying and just...
He kind of blinks side-eye, looks again, and just like, okay. Another pat on the head and keeps walking.
Well, Alzina goes, well, I mean, I think she means it protects you from the weather, good and bad. Personally, I prefer the ship.
Giselle kind of half nods. I can definitely understand the desire for more open air. It gets stagnating some days. But flash forwarding from this a little further, it doesn't take you too long, and you do find yourself outside of not exactly the richest manor, but a pretty decent looking place. going into the orders do say for you to come up to the front door, so you literally have to pass through a gated wall. The gates are allowed open, and you come up to the front of this place, which has a huge set of double doors, nice big wooden doors that are framed in iron, giant metal knockers on them.
Just because Azina's feeling a little mischievous, I kind of look at Garroth and go, "You want to give the door a nice loud knock?"
He kind of blinks, looks up at the big metal things, gets a evil grin of an idea, rubs his hands together, and just slowly starts walking up. Knock, knock. Vroom, vroom, vroom. You literally hear this huge echoing knock, and then he kind of stops, puts his ear to the door, and waits for a second. I'm not sure if they heard. No, wait. I think I hear quick footsteps now, and starts to step back.
I figured he'd have a good reaction to me asking him that.
Guy opens the door bigger than Garroth, looks down. You rang.
You gotta do the lurch voice.
You rang. Ugh. They make them paler around here too.
Anyways, who answers the door?
Eventually more than a handful of servants do finally come to the front door. One of the I guess you would call it a private guard, finally answers the door and pulls them apart and just like pokes his head through and then looks at the lot of you and then up at the barbarian in particular and then the rest of you is like, "Hello, yes, how may we help you?"
I just I smile and I hold up the paper for the job.
Oh, the guard job. Yes, of course. And he actually does step aside to let one of these servants help out, and they look a little nervous at first, but then see you're trying to be friendly and just like, "Oh yes, right away, this way." And this nicer dressed man, nice like waistcoat and stuff, starts ushering you inside and into one of the side rooms a little ways down the hall. By the way,
Okay.
Lovely building, floors made out of marble. Just little bits of art along just all the edges of the walls, and a few paintings hanging here and there. Very fancy.
Do I detect the presence of the Aquilonian set, Matt?
Well, to be fair, the Argos and Zingarn all kind of share a lot of that nice little art detail and all the marble stuff too. So,
Azina kind of comments, "The streets aren't much to look at, but I can see the appeal of this."
Geralt does kind of look around for a moment, and he's just like, "It is very shiny." And you just see Giselle very quietly eyeing up everything.
Like running an inventory list and price?
Yeah, so Valena just praying with the amulet in between her hands, and then you just hear this: "Keep your fingers in your pockets." And then goes back to praying.
You hear a very quick and sharp shh from the front of the group.
I'm just mentally seeing Giselle pulling out an abacus.
She's already got a mental one going. Just ooh.
Fortunately, she can't steal the floor yet.
We'll see about that.
That's why I said yet.
If I reach level 20,
Don't give her a trowel, whatever you do.
more worried about you handing her over a personal ballista. A sneak attack from a ballista. Now that's a lot of damage.
Okay.
Anyways,
So they take us to the waiting room.
So yeah, you eventually are led into a nice waiting room. Very nice furniture, well crafted. Giselle's eyes are once again just scanning every inch. even after you've kind of sat down for a few moments. But she's
Modern
kind
game, she'd have the dollar signs in the eyes.
of very much taking in every little thing that she can, and you also notice in particular once she starts noticing smaller things that the eyes kind of lock onto a few items here and there, and just like, I can maybe get away with that kind of thought in the back of her brain.
Much can I steal? How much can I steal?
So you're forced to technically wait here for several minutes,
Blaine
and
is just screaming the whole
as you all keep an eye on Giselle as she's still eyeing up everything else, and then every once in a while does notice the rest of the group was looking at her and just kind of goes, "What?"
I'm just imagining her zipping from place to place, her eyes darting back and forth. I could swear to God her hands moved for half a second.
I'm surprised she ain't Scrooge McDucking it right now.
It's a weighing room, but there's also some nice shelves with some nice, interesting looking things on them. She's been fighting the urge to get up and look closer.
I
I-
The client's name.
I just picture a bunch of things just randomly disappearing and being like, but she didn't even move.
You know the client's name, Derek.
Yeah, and I picture at the end of it, it's just like, okay, how much is it worth? And the guy looks at it and goes, it's fake.
Are there any books around?
As I said, there's a bookshelf, and there are a few books definitely on the higher shelves. Which that also is would probably pulls your attention to, Valena, is that there's some bookshelves up there, and some of them look rather old.
I guess Valena would stop her prayer, look at the older books, and just kind of quietly look through the older ones gently,
Oh, you're going to go up there and pull one down?
and just look through and read it. And she'll put it back.
Okay. The first one you happen to pull down is a brief history of Argos. It seems to be a general history, and there seems to also be a few notes written in it, but it's in Argosian, so you're not quite sure what's trying to say in the
Did she-
footnotes.
Does she speak Argosian? I don't think she does.
No.
All right.
So all the books are kind of useless to her.
Well, again, it's the notes are in Argosian.
Oh,
It's the rest of it is in Aquilonian.
If only you had someone who spoke Argosian and Aquilonian. It's what a shame.
She puts it back and it goes.
It looks interesting, and it looks like it could be a good long read, but yeah, it's nothing that you're going to immediately get a lot out of at the moment, so yeah, eventually put it back.
Yeah, she just puts it back.
By the time you put it back, you suddenly realize Giselle's literally right behind you, just kind of takes this back step as soon as you put it away.
Elena just goes. I don't have the energy for this today.
Giselle just kind of quietly smiles and nods.
I'm imagining you all looking at a suit of armor in one area, and somebody comes up behind you and goes, "It's Yamatitan." How do you know? Because I bought it in Yamatai.
It's fake. I'm just kidding.
SWAT.
I got ripped off.
That's not. Randy was making another reference.
No.
Yes, I was.
Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yamatai is the Hyborian age Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So it literally was. It's Japanese because I
Oh,
bought
yeah.
it in Japan.
Oh, by the way, the name's Bruce Wayne.
Are you sure?
Yeah, there, now you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how long did so when?
Well, yeah, so
how long
yeah,
did-
I would say it's roughly a minute or two after that. Giselle finally quietly sneaks back over to sitting down, and not more than a moment or two later is when you finally start hearing footsteps getting louder and louder just outside the room before the hallway doors finally burst open, and in comes a very well groomed man, combed back hair, getting a little bit of gray in the beard, but also nicely cut beard, recently trimmed by the look of it. And while he is a well-looking man, he is in a rougher-looking outfit almost. It looks like it's been well made and well designed, but it also looks like it's been well used. And you can actually see there's a couple of people that are staying out in the hall behind him and just going, "Not right now. We need to take care of business first," and then closes the doors behind him. Then looks to a lot of you. "Ah, yes, you're the hired mercenaries, yes?" And he starts heading back over to the desk that's in front of the bookshelves.
So
yeah,
Elena gives the proper gesture, not saying a word, like a bow or a curtsy or whatever, just sits back down on the couch.
Oh, the man kind of notices the motion and just kind of like, "Oh, yes," and slightly bows back and before he takes his seat.
I kind of so wait, are we seated at chairs like across from his desk, or
You're essentially along the walls, and there's a chair or two in front of the desk, but you've been sitting mostly on the lounge seats that are along the walls, essentially.
okay? I guess I'll sit it on one. I'll move and sit on one of the chairs across from his desk,
All right.
and I hold out my hand for a handshake, and I go, "The name's Captain Azina Arcane. We're technically a group of pirate hunters, but mercenary work seems like a good way to build a reputation."
He looks up at you, seems to blink for a moment as it seems like you're stating his name vaguely brings something to mind, and then slowly nods and shakes your hand back, a good tight grip, and you'll notice that most of his outfit is either made out of leather or there are some slight bits of metal to it, so it's actually legitimately armor.
Would explain things.
It's a decent, tight handshake back. "Good to meet you, Captain. So I take it you're the leader of this band, then?"
Correct.
So here's the basic proposition outside of what you've already read. I am trying to make sure that Argos moves forward with trying to get a group together to hunt down the pests that keep moving into us from the west, in particular those damn Raiders of the Eclipse. We've already started building up a ragtag militia, but we also apparently need people protecting the grounds as well.
I was going to point out that as he said Raiders of Eclipse, he might notice that Azina got a smile that started to get bigger and bigger as he kept talking.
He blinks and kind of notices the smile and goes, "I see you've already met them. Good." So the problem is that a couple of other lords like me, have tried to start setting up things to make sure we officially get some groundwork done, trying to fight off these bastards, and then every one of them gets fucking assassinated. And then he points to you lot. That's where you all come in. We've already doubled guards on the last one, on the last lord, and he was still attacked at his home. We're going to double the guards, and I want some specialists, and this sounds like already you've got some experience.
I've got personal history with them. They destroyed the crew I was originally part of when I was a child. And we took care of one of their ships that was out on the inner sea.
As you mentioned this, you see him going to that deep think mode again for a moment, and he just kind of raises a finger, opens a drawer, pages through a few things, and then like several pages in, he just goes, "Aha!" He pulls it out, puts the paper down, and you see literally a wanted poster of your face on it. He just kind of smiles and nods. "I thought it looked familiar. To hell with these bastards," and puts your wanted poster back in the drawer and closes it. "You're hired." Enemy of my enemy is my friend at this point. Something needs to be done about them, not just on the bloody shores. So if you're willing to help protect me, I'm going to make the official statement today that I'm going to start making some headway in getting this done. And then tomorrow is going to be the official statement of us finally getting our forces together to fight off the eclipse. And again, that's where you lot come in. I want you to not only help keep an eye on the grounds here for today and into tomorrow, but I also need you there for during my announcements, because that's when most of these attacks have happened. One of them managed to slip away to their home before they were attacked, but the others were attacked during the public broadcasts and sent people panicking.
I think we should be able to handle this.
Fantastic. So he kind of looks outside for a brief moment and is like, I think in about, say, 3 or 4 hours we'll have the meeting, and we'll make sure that bring an extra make sure to bring an extra wagon over to help pick you lot up, and then we'll go to the official meeting place.
All right.
All right, thank you very much. And he smiles and quickly starts setting up very, very brief meeting that I can attend to other things very quickly. And starts looking to his door. Not that I want to do this all the time, but yes, I'll see you all in a couple hours. And he starts heading outside.
Yeah. As he's leaving, I just say, I look forward to doing business with you.
Indeed. Hopefully things go much smoother this time. And pushes the doors open. And one of them is already trying to badger him with questions. He's like, "Not now," and starts heading down the hall.
So I picked an interesting quest that I didn't even know was associated with my main objective.
Mm-hmm. Local pains in the ass.
Are the doors shut again?
After a brief moment, when the staff does come up to the door and goes, "The Lord will come pick you up in about an hour. Someone else will come pick you up in about an hour. We'll take you to the feasting hall so you all can drink and eat and prepare yourselves before we head off to the meeting." And then closes the door behind him.
All right.
And goes back to reading the books.
I kind of look at Garroth and Giselle, and I go, "What are the odds?"
It seems that they're a pest no matter where they walk.
Here I thought it was just going to be some noble that was paranoid about something.
He does seem to be paranoid about something. Paranoid about saving his own life. Although I will say, and looking back at the door, he did look better geared than most nobles.
Well, I assume most of them are going to be if they're worried someone's going to try to kill them, because it's happened to everyone else that tried to do what they're doing.
To some degree. He looks like he's used to wearing that, though. Most nobles wouldn't be completely armored to the teeth like that. Not from what I've seen.
I kind of look at Velena and I go, "Are you sure you want to go through those books instead of taking a nap, considering the condition you're in?"
Reading eases my mind.
As long as she's not doing any more harm, she should be fine. And as that's being said, Giselle is immediately already found in the corner of the room, looking through something else.
What's his name? Neraster?
Oh,
the guy's with us.
Yeah.
I kind of look at him. I go, "You haven't really come out with us on any missions before. You got any thoughts?"
No, I haven't really been on one of your missions before. It does seem interesting, though, so far. And yes, these pirates are obviously a nuisance. Look at everything else we bumped into on the way here. Seems these Eclipse raiders have a bunch of people up in a roar. Aquilonian doesn't have to deal with the waters so much unless it's on the western coast. And he kind of thinks back, also looking at the doors. He does kind of remind me of some of the depictions of I've seen and home of Conan, although a little less. Kind of raises his shoulders, kind of imitating a buffed up guy.
Okay, back.
I kind of say so less like Garroth than Conan is.
He points to Garroth. Precisely.
So when Blaine goes through the books, does she see anything interesting, or is it just general knowledge?
But you've seen the one already on Argos. You do see another one on Mitra worship. You see another one that starts going into other well-known deities. But then you also start seeing one that seems to be a little bit on the hush-hush side of more darker entities and other strange beings. You've seen something very similar to this, which is when you first saw something on Thulsa Doom.
Ooh. But nothing weird happens when I read it, right?
As you're paging through it, nothing immediately strikes you out. Although one image as you're passing through, it is slightly illustrated. There are some sketches of some of the creatures and deities that they are mentioning in the book. One image does strike you as a bit startling, as a very familiar eye appears in one page that's otherwise almost completely blacked out.
Blaine goes, huh, so that's what you look like. And just turns a page.
Not even sticking here. Yep, moving on.
I do want to say it is kind of. I wonder if you think it's funny that as soon as you said he reached for something in the desk, I somehow knew he was going to slap down my wanted poster.
I wasn't sure if it was going to be too predictable or not, but I was just going with it anyway.
I think it is because just the fact that I started mentioning my issues with them, that might be what it was going to be. That does make me wonder if there's anyone in this city that would actually try to claim the bounty.
I think the fact that the raiders have made themselves such a pest is probably why most of the wanted posters aren't up anymore in this particular area. Because who's going to listen to... Even if there's a decent amount of money in it, who's going to listen to the raiders anymore at this point?
Right.
But that's it for the books.
That's about it for the books. Yeah, that's you trying to skim for an hour before you hear people coming back. To which point you're then ushered away from the waiting room into a dining hall. Very nice, very big. Again, a lot of frickin' marble. Some nice big stone tables and a ton of fruit, some cooked meats, some decent breads and cheese for a layout, and also a couple of alcoholic drinks along with some decently clean water here and there as well is set out. And you're allowed to basically have at it until the next hour is up, in which case you start getting ready to go. But with that done, I'm going to quickly phase out from that for a moment, and we'll go to Squad B for a bit.
Okay.
So, rewinding a little while, you all are heading out of town. And the entire group is on horseback.
Just kind of as we go through the Wait, we're still in town?
You're on your way to town. Now that, like I said, we're winding it back a bit.
Okay. I just gaze at the Mitra Temples and stuff.
There, like I said, there's a couple of them that grab your attention. Some of them are a little bit bigger than you normally get to see.
Oh, well, there's the Temple of Gizizbads. I don't know the name.
Ah, sure it is.
I uttered in a hushed voice. Oh, I never thought I'd see these again.
Anything else the rest of the group is doing? I guess it's mostly you and Ran.
Yeah, I think Ran is trying to talk, but his microphone is not working.
That's not good.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me now?
There you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are. Sometimes when I unmute it, it doesn't unmute.
Weird.
It's like the switch doesn't click all the way. I don't know.
Mm.
But, Bologna pays for ramblings about temples, no heed. It doesn't really interest her. Theobald might be interested. Being
Theobald
another
does
priest
also
major.
seem to share a little bit of interest since it's also his current religion too, and he's kind of like, he seems kind of stunned. There's actually buildings for it, much less huge towering buildings in some of the more decent, well-to-do places.
I call over to Zelona. Say, do you think we have time to stop by any of these?
No. Maybe on the way back, but not on the way out.
No, right. Anything else that we're seeing? Like, are there merchants or anything nearby that we're seeing? We're on our horses, right? We're just riding through.
You're on horses. You're basically following the main road out to the north of the city.
Okay.
You're not going through the most well-to-do places, but you're seeing some of the better off places. There's the occasional shop here or there. You're not going through any of the major markets because, again, you're trying to basically take the main roads and try and get you out of here as quickly as possible to hit the main road out to the farm.
How far out of the city is the farm?
I'm trying to think how you would put it distance-wise. I would say at least several miles out. Like, you've got a half a day ahead of you just to be able to get out there, but you're not going to get all the way in one day. It'll be you're already at midday, so you're not going to get all the way there, so it'll be almost a full day's travel. So you're basically going to be doing a half day's travel there to this day, and then camping, and then do the rest of it in the morning. But you should be able to get there before midday the next day. It's just that you're kind of caught in a point where you have to rest for the night.
So where are we going to rest then?
Once we get to be about dusk, we'll find a good spot. Or, excuse me, I should say that in character, but my mouth is full of popcorn.
Then Theo will kind of join in on the conversation. Wherever we find a good place that'll have a little cover. You never know who's going to be using these roads.
Little cover, or at least a good place to look out.
Theobald nods to that idea as well.
Is the city around here really that dangerous?
Subutai pipes up from behind. Any city is dangerous. Just some of them have better company than others. And also, yeah, Tarthun's also with the group, and Tarthun pipes up. Any place can be dangerous as long as there's anyone with a will for evil.
Interesting.
Hopefully Randy didn't get muted again.
Colonia still has bandits. Bologna said even Aquilonia still has bandits.
There's a general kind of quiet nod from everybody.
I mean, we've had to deal. Well, actually, we did have to deal with a few thieves at the monastery up north.
you immediately hear Sabotai stifle a chuckle. Some kids are bad influence.
That sounded less like Sabotai and more like Mr. Sim. From Johnny Quest.
Oh.
Well, Matt's got to switch between more different voices than anyone else.
Yeah, I know. I GM too. I know how that is.
Oh, yeah. It's all over the place, especially in Conan's setting. The freaking Voices are wild. So I take it
So
mostly
Salona's
just
just-
hanging around the road.
Or yeah, remember, Salona's in a foul mood. She's not one to be socialized right now. It'll
Oh.
dissipate a little bit as time goes on, but it'll take a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you're kind of continuing marching on, Thibault kind of comes up alongside you, Valerius, and just kind of goes, "Yes, it'd be nice to have a visit later, but we should definitely see what this is about with this job first. First things first, the work, and then when we have time, looks at another big, tall building, a little bit of leisure on the way back."
The architects of Argos were truly astounding in their achievements.
And this is even the big fancy place. This isn't a nice retirement place. I gotta wonder what the architects are over in their capital. Maybe not as big, but definitely probably just as fancy.
Do we know what is this job about?
Apparently, the local farm, one of their bigger ones, so obviously a lot of food involved during the year, has been a no-contact zone for about 2 weeks. So that means that they've sent people to try and contact the farm and make sure everything's all right, and nobody's come back. Which is not a very good sign.
But it's not a very good sign for us if we're on our way to the farm. What if we never come back?
Ah, but that's the point. We're mercenaries. We're going to come back because we're going to find whoever's causing the trouble, punch their lights out, and then come back.
Indeed. It sounds very strange.
I love Theobald's explanation of what's going to happen.
Tell him he's wrong.
Sanitized, considering Thelona.
Yeah.
And after all, Mitra is a god of revenge, amongst other things. Punching somebody's lights out on a day's work.
But Thelona's involved. There's going to be less punchy and more disembowelment.
He's just putting it in nice terms for the newbie.
Especially if the ones causing the problem aren't even human.
Oh yeah, then Thelona goes to town.
And if
If
they're
it's bandits,
yes, if
they're
they're non-human,
seasonal.
if they're non-human beasties, then we light them on fire. Always good time fire. And Tarthun eagerly smiles and nods to that.
I've learned in my travels that most things have trouble living without their heads.
I've never seen either man nor beast that enjoyed the sting of steel or the burn of fire to the skin. One way or another, we'll deal with whatever the problem is. And hopefully, without too many other people getting harmed in the trek of things.
It could be anything from bandits to a monster.
It could
Right.
be. The crops seem to be in place, so if there are bandits, they haven't stolen the crops yet. They're still probably growing at this rate.
Depending, they could have started on the north side.
I hear very loud clicking.
Sorry.
As long as they're not a giant enemy crab. Well, that's where we make the giant pot, don't you know? And prepare the water.
I'm not there for him to be responding to me, though.
I'm responding in character anyways. So yeah, it takes a little while, but eventually, within less than an hour, you're outside of town. And you get outside these city walls, and at first it almost feels like it's flat country again, very much like the steppes. But as you take it in a little bit longer, you start to realize it doesn't take too long before the trees and forest all kinds of sets in and comes in bigger batches. And then you can kind of start to slowly pinpoint out here and there little spots where you can see like distant farms and where people would have set up to try and help either start raising cattle or raising giant fields out in the amidst all this, and it's a much more lush green country than you're used to in your travels thus far, and not as boggy and swampy as some of the other spots you've been through on your sailing through to reach the coast. It's probably the least
just
amount of
looked up-
sand you've seen in a better part of half a year.
I just looked up something on the Conan wiki. It says, I don't know, Matt. This is all out of character, of course. I don't know, Matt. You've read more of the Conan stuff than I have. I've only read a little bit of it.
Mm.
But it says here that Mitra is not really a god of vengeance.
It's not.
Teaches mercy over
It's not so much.
vengeance.
Well, it's not so much vengeance. It's Mitra is very much a god of justice, and if justice needs to be meted out with vengeance, then so be it, kind of a deal.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
Some can still take that as a we're gonna get revenge because we're in the right kind of deal.
Like divine justice. I guess
Mhm.
that would be like some of the hardcore Mitrists.
Yeah, remember, any religion is open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Theobald is definitely a Mitra worshiper that believes in getting some revenge as long as it's obviously an evildoer that needs to be clobbered, or ripped apart, or disemboweled, or lit on fire. Beaten within the inch of their life with a giant Thor-like hammer.
So, Kelowna continues to ride on, although now that they're in woods, she's a little more cautious.
Yeah. I'm probably whispering a small prayer to myself for protection from whatever might be lurking in these woods.
I'm looking for places that would be good ambush points.
The others are obviously keeping an eye open too, but as soon as you start getting a little further into the woods, the Subutai is very much like, oh, don't get to see very much countryside like this every day. Oh, actually, that was more of a Theobald. You don't get to see much country like this every day. Very nice. I can see why they like to stay here. Also, understand why they have boats down here. Betcha this forest was everywhere.
It used to be good hunting grounds, but I'm not so sure nowadays.
Probably some left there and there.
I've heard tell some of the herbs around here are good for harvesting, for healing and such, as well as cooking.
And then Theobald pipes on. Then it's a good idea to keep our eyes peeled either way. And also seems to be looking back and forth a little bit, kind of sensing Thelon's same tension of, is there something lurking out there? Don't see anything yet. Looking for the right place where that might happen.
How dark is it now? Is it still afternoon or?
You're essentially getting into like mid to late afternoon, so it's not gone quite orange yet, but it's starting to get there.
Okay.
So, I guess the long story short, you continue off into the forest without any major incidents. You do see the odd trail here or there, but it mostly seems to be either just completely wild animals, or you see like occasional tracks and stuff made when maybe the ground was a little more wet, and it's basically people traveling up or down the main road, heading towards the city or away from it.
Do you think it could be a band of pigs from the west?
Subutai is very quick to pop up on that one. Too close, too far away. The peaks are very far west and a bit further north. Aqualonia has more trouble with them than Zingaro or Argos ever has with them.
Just thinking of possibilities, this is a very civilized country.
To which Subutai does nod. Aye, very civilized. Not to say that there aren't their own elements here and there either way.
I'm surprised. What is the road? Is the road just dirt or?
It's After about, say, a mile or two out of town, it does become mostly just dirt. It did start a little bit. It did start as solid stone, and then by the time you got outside the wall, it started becoming a little more cobbled. And then by this point, it's mostly regular dirt road, just a very well-traveled path.
What kind
That's-
of trees are here? Are there any animals or anything to be seen, or is it just kind of spookily quiet?
Pretty sure there's
It's
birds.
there's definitely an occasional bird call. You do actually, probably the first time for some of the characters here, you do actually hear some owl call here and there. In
Possibly.
particular, Tarthun immediately kind of looks around like, what the hell, when he hears an owl? Because he's been mostly very far eastern coast and mostly on the water, so he's not used to that particular kind of bird calling. He's just like, what
Yeah,
the
I
hell?
imagine he'll about jump out of his skin when he hears a vixen cry.
Right? Meanwhile, Subutai is kind of like taking all the natural nature noises in, and is just like, it's been a while. That's actually the general kind of gist you get out of Subutai for a lot of this interesting change of locale, is that he's just kind of like taking it in with a sense of, oh, it's been a while since I've been here kind of look to it. You get the general sense that with that he's been around a lot.
Yeah, for Argos, just for your mental thing, think of any forest in the Mediterranean coast, really.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if they were like carnivorous trees or deciduous, or is it just like a forest, or is it like
Some spots it's generally a forest for sure.
just like
I mean, probably a lot of olive trees, now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because technically, where Argos is in prehistory is essentially what would in the future be like France or Italy
Greece. Yeah.
and Greece and stuff like that. Yeah. You gotta remember, this is what you call it? This is way prehistory, when a lot of the continents were like, there's only like 3 major continents, and they don't even look like they would now, for the most part. So everything's kind of mishmashed.
Yeah.
Like, technically, if you were to head back out to the coast and head way south, you'd hit Africa, or what's going to eventually be Africa, because it's all kind of clustered together and still. That's why the catastrophic events happen that change prehistory so much in the Conan universe, is because the continents are still splitting and spreading. It's just taking very long periods of time. But it's prehistory, so you don't know exactly how long that takes.
And technically, this is supposed to happen between cataclysms. The first one coincided with the fall of Atlantis.
Yeah, the first major cataclysm swallowed up Atlantis, and that's what caused the Sumerians to come into being, because they were leftover Atlanteans.
Yeah, like 1,000 years, and then there's supposed to be another one in about another 1,000 years. And that's supposed to divide the world up into the world we know better.
And before that even happens, there's another technically human-made calamity where the Picts actually become too numerous and actually do start to invade the west coast.
Right, because that's what an olive tree forest looks like.
Put something in the chat, I take it. Yeah, so something like that, but the area you're going through is a little bit thicker, but it does kind of, when it goes closer to the farms and stuff, it does tend to spread out a little bit.
Probably closer to a Western European forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
France.
And Zerf's got the idea.
Very Western Italy.
This other image is also of an olive tree forest, but more foresty-ish.
Yeah. That's a little bit closer to what would be up close, yeah. So proceeding ahead a little bit. You do venture through the forest for a while, and you do decide to finally find a spot before it completely goes dark, and you do manage to find a particular spot with a little more tree cover and a little bit of foliage, so you can also kind of scout, but also keep a low campfire for the night and still cook some food if you need to eat for the evening. And you're allowed to
Alright.
camp there.
Theobald
You
will
think it
finally
would
get
be
to heal
worth-
that.
Yeah, Theobald
Do
will
you
finally be
think
able
it
to
would-
rest overnight.
Do you think it would be worth it to try to do a little hunting?
I mentioned that Subutai kind of has a look around, and actually, let's see if he can actually pick up
Actually,
anything.
do any of us have a hunt? What would be a hunting skill? Is that nature?
Survival.
It's
It'd be-
survival.
Survival.
There'd be a survival or a nature. Let's
Alona
see
has
here.
been
What's...
using it quite a bit.
Actually, Subutai's got a nice bonus in nature, so he'll actually do that. Oh yeah. Subutai kind of looks down at the ground for a few moments, then looks back up to the rest of you. Give me about 5 minutes, and starts heading off.
Who's making the? Do we have tents that we need to pitch, or who's
No, it's
building
probably
the
just
fire?
bedrolls under the open sky. Bedrolls next to fires.
All right. So who's building the fires?
I'll do that.
Basically,
Are you
yeah,
rolling survival?
Thelona and Theobald immediately start going about collecting branches and getting a fire started because this is not their first field trip. Tarthun is kind of keeping an eye on the road, but is also kind of watching over things in general.
I'll tend to the horses.
Alrighty.
Oh, actually,
There we
Thelona's
go.
going to turn to you and say, "You said this area was known for its herbs. If you happen to know any, you might want to try gathering a few, either for healing or for cooking."
Let's see here.
That would definitely be a nature check.
Yeah, let me see. I want to
Mhm.
see. I'm just looking at the Conan wiki to see if there's actually any specific herbs in the world. Because, that would be kind of cool. Oh my god, an index of Hyborian poisons and herbs. Okay. If anyone else wants to see this, I'll just copy and send it into the link in chat. Doesn't seem like there's a bunch of them, but...
Just remember, if you find 11 of them, we can make Kentucky Fried Venison.
What's a Kentucky?
Oh yeah, there's only a couple of them here. Like
I
there's
don't know
apples
Kentucky
of Darketa
previously.
and Black Lotus, but I'm sure we could find stuff like thyme and other stuff. Mint.
I'm gonna say, yeah, probably some of the stuff we've already seen in Conan Exiles plus most normal world stuff is probably what you're gonna easily find.
Excuse me, let me correct. Koth fried venison. That better? Kothian fried venison. Is that better for your taste there, Zerif?
Probably.
You don't know, Koth is a country north of Shem. And actually just northeast of Argos.
Alright, so I finished tending the horses, and now I'm going to go out into the forest and start looking for herbs. I'm going to look for mint. Let me see. Well, if I can't find them in Conan...
Boar with mint. Ooh, that would be good. Oh yeah, I bet there's some wild piggies around here.
That wiki thing you linked only has 2 things.
I know! I was like, oh cool, they have all of this stuff. Well, here we go. Here's medicinal plants of Europe. And their billion of variety. Enjoy.
Yeah, that's my number one issue of looking up anything Conan specific is that it's very gray area.
It's a very gray area. Okay, so I'm probably just gonna look for herbs for cooking and for healing at this point.
Alrighty.
Oh, what the heck? I'll just paste the whole lyrics. Damn it, Ozzy.
Oh, it's fried.
Oh yeah,
Pheasant.
resins.
Pheasant, not peasant. Yes.
See if I can't find some St. John's wort.
Yeah, it's parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Those should all be there.
Peppermint.
Too bad it's not in my schnapps.
Oh hey, Bale. Extract of the leaves of this very familiar tree helps cure diarrhea, dysentery, constipation.
So an anti-status potion could be brewed from that. There you are. Just seeing her over a rough chemistry case over a campfire, just rubbing stuff together, going, come on, come on.
I'll probably. Are there any streams nearby for me to get some fresh water? I would take it there would be at least maybe something small.
I would assume there's not too many. There should be some streams here and there that you can probably catch. I wouldn't be surprised if occasionally on your road trip you've actually crossed a few bridges too.
So what would be?
So she's looking for mint and peppermint. So by the time we're done cooking dinner and stuff, she's invented the after dinner mint. Right.
Doesn't make your breath smell like poo.
But I just ate food and it's going to smell like poo anyways.
I could just picture.
Unless you've only been eating rump roast.
I could just picture Thibault just going, "I'll take it," and then still looking at him. What are you saying? Nothing.
So
He
if I
invented the wafer thin mint.
It's just a wafer.
if I'm going to make myself a small potion, what would that require?
It would require stuff you probably still need it back down because again, I don't think you don't have a chemistry set on you. I would assume.
I don't have a chemistry set now, but I can. Well, just have the raw herbs on me then.
Yeah, I would highly
Keep it
suggest
in my
just bringing in the
section.
raw herbs, and you could probably take that to anyone who could probably process the stuff for you.
Okay.
And it won't cost you nearly as much as having to buy all of their materials from them too.
Mhm.
Although I guarantee you could probably still tip them, and they'll be very gracious to make the potion you desire out of the stuff.
I have a +4 in medicine, so.
That's medicine. That means you can help patch up a person and also resuscitate them from dying. It doesn't
Okay,
it doesn't mean that you're immediately gonna literally pull out a chemistry set out of your pocket and go, aha!
What is chemistry set then? Is that?
I believe there's something to the thing like that. Let me have a look here in the book. I guarantee you.
What? Yeah.
I
what
know for a
would the
fact it's
skill
probably
be?
in here. It's not so much the skills as much as actually literally having the set.
Like the actual set with. Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
I have an herbalism kit.
Oh, you do have an herbalism kit. So you do have
Yes,
it.
I do.
You do have it in your pocket.
Wait, do I? Here, let me just double check it here. I have a healer's kit, which I'm not sure what all that implies.
That's basically bandages.
Oh.
Yeah,
No.
that's stuff to
Oh,
treat.
yeah.
No,
There's
yeah,
difference
it was
between
just
that.
it was under proficiencies. I'm proficient in an herbalism kit, but I don't
Oh,
own
never
one.
mind. Yeah, you don't actually have it on you.
Never
You
mind.
gotta watch what your inventory says and what your skills say. They're
I
different.
never look at my inventory. I forget half the
Shame.
stuff I have.
I was gonna say, there's no healer's kit here. Where are you getting the healer's kit from? There is an herbalism kit, which you probably can buy. Now, let's see here.
If there's
And
a
you go
healer's
back to
kit like
town.
underneath my tinder box in my inventory. I also have gloves of missile
Healer's
snaring.
kit.
Yeah, we gave those to you because no one else could use them.
Healer's kit. I'm trying to find. Healer's Kit. There is a listing for it, so it should be over here somewhere. Healer's Kit. This kit is a leather pouch containing bandages, salves, and splints. The kit has 10 uses. As an action, you can expend 1 use of the kit to stabilize a creature that has hit 0 hit points. So like I was saying before, you can keep someone from dying with it. And apparently it actually has 10 uses.
Yeah, basically it automatically makes them succeed on the death saves so that they don't die.
That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we're cooking up some grub.
So they're cooking. Are you actually trying to try and look around for? That's
Yeah,
I take it that's what your survival thing was for.
Yeah, I'm looking. No, that was for taking care of the horses. Let me see. I'll roll another survival for actually searching for stuff.
Searching for herbs and stuff.
Oh,
Oof!
wow.
Never mind.
The horses trampled everything. I can't see anything in here.
You did really good with the horses. They're nice and calm and well fed, and they're tied off to a couple of trees in the back of the camping area. But when you try to go looking for herbs, you suddenly hit nightfall like a rock, and you just really can't find anything tonight. Sadly to say.
I caught my horse Nippy.
So you are cut off from being able to find anything and have to return to camp empty-handed for the night.
Dang.
Just no luck on that one. Just a little too late to go looking.
Uh-huh.
That being said...
So what's for dinner?
Again, that being said, let's see what he was able to drag up.
Oh gosh. I just had the silliest picture in my head. You see his spit turning with a bunch of roasted owls, and he goes, I found him with 11 herbs and spices.
No, stop.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Ouch. I'm going to have to roll another die here and see just how unlucky he got.
We have bugs on a stick.
I thought the 18 was Sabotage rolling for hunting.
That was him basically doing a check for finding any animal prints nearby and then going after the hunt an animal, but it wasn't actually the hunt itself. I'm gonna say that turned into a botch. He's gonna probably check really quick again because I'm assuming that it took a while with all the looking for herbs and taking care of animals and setting up the fire and everything anyway, so it gives him a little while to do it. So give him one more try. Okay, that's close, but it just succeeds. So yeah, Subutai eventually, he's a little bit late coming back, but he does eventually come back. He's just like, very sorry about that. I did find some tracks and did try to make my mark, but sadly the creature got away on me, but not before leaving tracks to another critter. And this, and he pulls out a decent-sized deer, is what I have managed to find. He brings it over to camp.
Having venison tonight.
I'm just picturing Sabotage pulling a freaking deer out of his pocket.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, what?
Not out of his pocket, out of his bush.
I was expecting like a hair out of a bag or something.
I found this hair. It's got a little lint on it.
Anyone have any potatoes?
Did anyone think to grab the potatoes?
Or dig them up? I don't know, are there potatoes diggable up here?
Probably not in the wild.
Yes, them wild taters.
Yeah, this wild taters will get you.
Or fish, anyone just... Wait, is there like any kind of a creek or anything by us to go fishing in?
This late at night?
Yeah.
I don't think
And that's when the
thought to
fish
do it
monsters
anyway.
get you.
I've killed players.
Because let's go bumbling into the dark at night, why don't we? But yeah, we'll call it there for right now. You all managed to successfully find a place for the night. You found food, so you're cooking up fresh venison to eat. And eventually you all put out the fire and take gradual turns, keeping a night watch while the rest of you rest, and finally all have
Yep.
your long rest for the evening.
Cool.
Yep.
So yeah, that
So
means that
long
everyone in
rest.
Party B gets to have their long rest if you haven't had it already.
All right.
And then we backtrack about half of that time back to Party A.
You need to give Theobald his long rest because he got punched earlier in the day.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
I actually kind of like
Me, if I
that.
recall.
Yes, it was because he tried to stop you from murdering Valena.
Well, then he deserved it.
Murder them later.
like
Murder
our
them
little
later when they're less
camping.
useful. No. Never
Murder
mind.
them when they're less useful.
I kind of like our little
Almost
camping
seems like-
sim.
Like, no, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. Yes, dear.
Yes, dear. Sorry, dear. Ow.
You don't want to do this. Yes, I do. Oh. Actually, I remember what it was. You elbowed him in the gut.
Oh, that's right.
Took it like a pro, but it still hurt.
Like, okay.
Oh.
When the when the woman wants to kill something, don't stand in her way.
Alrighty. So going back to Party A for a little bit, you've had your decently filled meal, plenty of drink, both alcoholic and none.
I imagine if this had been done film style, you see, cut to you guys sitting at this nice banquet table, having this fancy meal. Then it cuts to us sitting on a hill, eating fresh roasted venison.
With a deer on a spit or something.
Yeah, and whatever food we have in our dry rations to help it up. Just the comparison of them.
Actually, what I would imagine is that it does end on you guys eating the venison and stuff, and then kind of does like a sideways pan into a dark side of a tree, and then immediately comes back out of a pillar in the room that the others are finished eating at. Just kind of a Highlander wipe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's just horrid. I'll put it into it.
What? Anyways, so yeah, Team A, you're done with your meal. Eventually, a couple of servants do come in to clean up, and another one comes to collect you all and take you back out to the front door. Outside, you see the Lord waiting. There's a couple of decent wagons that have been set up with horses to pull them. And he motions to you all to come forward. Okay, at least two of you are with me, and the rest of you can go on that one for now. And motions to the other carriage. And speaking of which, miss, and he looks to Giselle. Hand me the vase. Giselle kind of rolls her eyes and just goes, fine, I knew I wasn't going to get away with it. It was too big anyways. She hands it over. And he goes, thank you, that's my mother. And hands it to one of the servants. And Giselle just kind of looks shocked for a moment and just like, oops, sorry.
Azita has to be thinking, at least briefly, maybe should have sent her with Valona and taken Subutai. Just to avoid the temptation.
Yeah, but Azina wasn't thinking about that. She was thinking about keeping her girlfriend close by.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if she'd thought about that logically, she might have thought that. Just say, okay, I guess it'll be me and Garroth with you, because we're the two strongest people out of the group.
Garroth quietly nods. Gives Valena another pat on the head and a wave as she's coaxed along to the other carriage and joins you and the Lord in the other carriage. And before he also takes off, he very quickly mentions, oh, by the way, been very rude manners. It's been a rushed day. Shakes your hand again really quick. I am Lord Narcissus.
Narcissus?
Marsis.
Marsis, okay.
Yeah, I was worried that that would have come up, but it's just like, no, a little bit different than that.
Blaine gives a gentle bow to him.
and he bows back to you. By the way, very interesting manners. I take it you're of some sort of lordship yourself?
Was.
Oh, left home, I see. I can understand that a bit. It does happen with lords and ladies here as well. Some of them just can't resist the open sea or a nice long road ahead of them.
I go, if only her story was that simple.
He kind of blinks, looks back at her, and then actually does take in the fact that she's been wearing these dark, long robes the entire time, and is like, oh, I see complications, yes. Obviously, he's not going to bluntly scream it out for everyone to know, but he gets the idea that she's possibly arcane in training. He does get the hint after a brief moment. So you're all headed off onto the road for a ways, and he does kind of cover some of the basics with you and Geralf, Asina. Essentially, one of the things that he brings up is that the few people that have been witnessed attacking other lords have all been people dressed in dark robes, in particular with hoods that cover down past their eyes in most parts, but just barely able to peek out from under them if they so need. He also does mention that a couple of persons have seen a symbol on their chest, but it's not guaranteed as of yet what the symbol was. A couple have sworn up and down that it must be like a half-visible symbol of the raiders themselves, possibly trying to prevent this from going through, but it's not a guarantee so far.
Could be somebody that they're hiring to do their dirty work for them.
He nods. Also very much a possibility.
I doubt it'll come up during this mission, but I did want to ask, since they have been harassing people around this area, have there been any reports of them using demons?
He blinks and kind of thinks it over. There have been a few reports of them being able to use stranger magics than normal. There have been some of them using regular magics, the usual type you expect offensive wizards to use, the rare occurrence you do come across them. But there have been an odd couple of reports here and there of some of them, a rare few of them, mind, but some of them being able to summon up creatures, in particular something demonic and from the beyond. It's something we try to keep a little bit quiet because that would freak out a lot of the locals. Again, having an enemy that strong, when that kind of monstrosity is running around, people would immediately panic into a tizzy and either abandon the coast or do other crazy things, and you just can't trust people to mind to themselves and keep to business as normal while the people who are more capable handle this kind of issue.
I say, I was just curious because I knew at least their leader was capable of doing such a thing. In fact, the only reason I survived the attack was it knocked me off the ship.
He blinks and kind of looks at you. You are an interesting case, are you not? You managed to essentially escape by accident off of your ship originally?
Yeah, I was the only survivor.
And kind of quietly nods. And then ponders for a few moments. Because yes, they're apparently very, very frustrated with you being a survivor, so you've seen a few things that even they don't want you to know about. And that demon summoning might be part of it, because it's been a very few people that have commented on it. So not all of them are capable of it, but it does seem that a few of their leaders are. And he kind of quietly thinks to himself for a moment and then kind of looks back to you, which is also worrying because we've got to think that it must be some sort of worship that's allowed them this kind of ability, not just your average magic user. So what on earth they are worshipping and why it's able to cause such giant rifts that such demonic creatures are able to wreak havoc is very much a wide concern.
We had a run-in with a wizard that wasn't associated with them a while back that I had asked if he'd known how they would be able to do such a thing. I think he said it's also possible that their leader made some kind of pact.
He blinks and kind of thinks about it. Yes, something that they worship, something that they put their trust into, much like a religion, although for more immediate gains, which I guess you kind of can do that with demons of a sort. Or other more worrying things. He kind of leaves it there unless you're going to press him on it.
No, I don't need to push him on any more of that. I was just curious if any of the relatively normal people were vaguely aware of any of this stuff.
Most
it makes sense.
But they're keeping it hush hush from most of the average people because the less they have to worry about, the better. But apparently, some people have bumped into it. Yes.
I do kind of smile and go. Luckily, though, we well, not ones they summoned. We've had our share of dealing with weird monsters. I'm sure Garroth remembers some certain gargoyle-looking creatures we dealt with a while back.
The night gaunts. He kind of nods. To which the Lord raises an eyebrow. Night gaunts, you say?
We went poking around in some ruins we probably shouldn't have.
Then the Lord kind of smiles. And that's how you get stronger anyways. I assume you found things there other than the night gaunts, if they were there.
I actually kind of knock on my breastplate that I'm wearing.
Ah, yes. He kind of looks at it a little bit closer. Oh. Not sure that's Aquilonian definitely not Aquilonian make, I would almost say. Almost Atlantean make, to some degree at least. Very interesting, very nice find, though. And actually, he looks back to Geralt and sees the assortment of weapons on him. Just kind of looks at the big giant black hammer and just goes, and even more things I see after that.
Yeah, we've had an interesting journey to this point.
He kind of shakes and kind of nods his head and is like, you'll find all kinds of strange things if you keep looking hard enough.
Or strange things find you sometimes.
he almost has to stifle a laugh. Very much so.
I kind of look at Geralt and go, what was that cult we ran into when we first met?
Oh yeah, that spider cult. Where was it now? I know it's on the map.
I believe it was around like this area in the desert.
Actually, yeah, it would have been Zamora. So yeah, the Zamorian spider cult, and the guy kind of raises an eyebrow. Not many of those left. Very interesting. After the attempt on the princess in Zamora, much of them were cut down where they stood after they were found.
But in spite of all that, you can't build much of a reputation if nobody knows about the things you're doing.
He nods a little bit. Very true. Otherwise, you wouldn't also be on wanted posters by the enemy. I assume you haven't run into too much trouble with that, have you?
I ran into one of their captains out on the inner sea. I don't know how many of her crew members were actually originally from the group. I think a lot of them might have been people she hired out there that didn't know what they were getting into.
Happens from time to time. Then Geralt brings up, and there's also the bounty hunters.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the bounty hunters that thought they could take us like, what was it, 2 to 4?
It was more like 2 to 3, but then the others joined in after they heard nearby fighting, but yeah.
We actually spared them though. They seemed disinclined to care anymore after we told them who they were working for.
Not many care for demon worshippers. That was Geralt. Yes, very interesting. So we'll see how things go then. If they do show up, it'll most likely be tomorrow during my next speech, when we officially tie things up.
And if they do show up, we'll make them wish they hadn't.
The Lord kind of smiles. That's the general hope.
Question though.
It does seem, but it does seem we are here. And the coaches start to slow down.
I do ask him one last thing. I go, if something does happen, do you want us to capture any of them alive?
He kind of blinks and thinks for a moment. If you can, so be it, but that's not necessary. If they are who we believe them to be, better off dead. Less trouble. Obviously hinting back to the fact that they believe that these would-be assassins are also part of the raiders.
Right. Less trouble, but less information.
Mm-hmm. So they're basically a horse apiece about it, and they're not overly fond of the idea of losing out on information, but they're also very fond of... they're not fond of losing out on information, but they're also not against the idea of, if they are raiders, just getting less of them being in the city.
All right, then.
So to hurry things along, I will also state that the meeting goes without too much of a hitch. He announces officially that he is now taking up the title for trying to move progression forward with getting rid of the raiders officially, and possibly contacting others, including Zingar, for aid in the plans to get rid of the raiders of the Eclipse, and that Aquilonia has already not been bothered that much, but they have had some run-ins, and they have already requested if Argos was capable that they could possibly join them in on a possible help, and so they're just looking at Zingar as a final third party to this to help make a big push to get rid of things, and also help one another in getting rid of any land-based issues in particular, and helping guard cities better. And possibly taking up the any local sellswords that are willing to fight off the raiders of the Eclipse to, again, further secure the safety of the local area. And with that, you do see... Actually, Giselle would probably be the one to be on the biggest lookout during this whole thing. Just happened to think. Loading. Oh, what was it? Wouldn't be insight. Investigation, probably. Oh, nice. Very nice. At one point, Ozina, you do see Giselle suddenly stiffen up and look really closely towards the back of the crowds. And then she does comment to you finally. I think I've seen someone in a dark robe. But it looks... Yep. No, it's just an older man. He seems to just be a older, polar man in the back. Doesn't seem that they're here, at least not tonight.
Does Valena hear this too?
You might be on the other side with Geralt. They would probably motion to you if they saw any trouble.
So does Valena see the guy in the dark robe?
Give me an investigation.
All right.
If you're saying you're looking for any suspicious persons as well, go ahead.
But Giselle did just say that it's not actually one of them. It's just some old guy.
It appears to be an older gentleman in the back that just happens to have a similar looking hooded cloak, essentially, on. Valena sees it. Okay, Valena, what are you doing?
Trying to detect if he looks familiar at all. Like, because he wears a dark robe, right?
Yes.
This is a random suspicion, but this doesn't seem to be. Just to be clear, this doesn't seem to be one of the suspicion people were suspicious about, just a person in the crowd, right?
I should actually specify not actually a robe, but a black hood and cloak. Yeah.
Okay. Does
But-
this cloak look familiar to Valena at all? Like something she's seen before?
Just looks like an average hood and cloak.
So no religious significance.
No religious significance, no any arcane on it that you can at least see from here. And you've got pretty good eyesight on it.
Okay, so that's all Valena
Yeah,
needed.
nothing in particular visible on that.
All right.
So
Because
the meeting...
Never mind. I was gonna say because I thought it was something from the past in the previous session, but no.
No. All right, so the announcement goes off without any more of a hitch. You just happen to notice one guy that looks a little out of sorts, but other than the fact that he just happens to be wearing a dark hood and cloak, he's not any more suspicious than that.
Hold on. I thought this was just a meeting that he's going to make the announcement.
Yeah, essentially this was the public announcement, and there are other lords and nobles there and so forth, so it's the first announcement, but then tomorrow, as long as everything goes according to plan, is when they officially say that they are in for it and that Zingar is going to help, because basically Argos is a lot of red tape, so they need someone to essentially back this plan and make sure that it's going to happen. And that's why they've had some previous issues, because everyone who says that they're about to get this plan underway suddenly gets freaking assassinated.
Right.
So this basically this is the pre-warning that they're about to do it, and hopefully without anyone being able to stop him, he'll be able to officially cut the last bit of red tape the next day and label it as an official thing that everyone's going to fight off the eclipse.
Okay.
That's the long and short of it. Of course, he's saying this all in Argosian, and it's for everyone who's Argosian there to understand, and that tomorrow, with any further problems, they should officially mark this as their future plan for a while. And with that, he motions to the rest of you to follow him back into the back of the room where he was making the announcement, and you all follow him and head back to the carriages.
Okay. I kind of, while we're riding back, I kind of ask him, so, you know what the layout, like the layout's gonna be when you're making this official tomorrow? Like
the area?
Yeah.
He says to you, well, the plan is we're going to use the same area. It'll be a little more open to the public, so everyone's able to hear and everyone's able to participate. And that's half the problem with all this red tape, is that anyone can come in, but that also means that whoever these assassins are could easily slip in if no one's keeping a careful eye.
Are we gonna be like on some kind of like podium up from the
I will be taking part in the podium up there again. I highly suggest that if you can keep a decent eye, that you maybe want to be the next layer down from me and try and keep an eye on the crowds. The crowds will be kept at a distance, but they'll still be allowed in to fill most of the room, whereas things were a little more thinly packed tonight, just mostly for the lords and ladies to participate.
I'm just thinking if there's a possible way to narrow potential pathways up to you.
Well, being in the back of the room, our main exit will be the back again. But we'll try to have the side doors locked, and it'll be hopefully mostly the main entrance and the back entrance, so we can leave with the least amount of trouble, hopefully, if anything does happen.
All right.
Otherwise, for the rest of this evening, I assume there should be no issue of you staying at my home for the evening. You can all take turns taking watch. I will confine myself mostly to my upper chambers, and that should also help keep any enemies out, at least without having to make a lot more noise, and hopefully garner more attention than they're looking for.
You you want us to take turns keeping watch outside your room?
If that was possible, yes. There seems to be enough of you. I'm sure you could trade posts and so forth.
Actually, I had a thought. What if we had two to watch, one inside the room, one outside the room, so just in case if someone slips by the other one, there'll be someone with them at all times.
Was there a balcony outside his window, or
Actually, no, there is no. He's like, there's no balcony, and I'm also going to make sure tonight that my windows are properly barricaded. No one is going to be able to reach into my room, not without making a colossal amount of noise and giving me even a chance to escape before they actually enter. So there should only be the one entrance, and that in that case, if you are able to guard it overnight, that should be able to bar off any possibility of them getting in quickly or easily.
should be the plan then? You shouldn't need someone in your room if you got everything locked down.
He nods.
Plus, I'm sure that'd make it harder for you to sleep.
Indeed. As if I wouldn't have enough troubles already tonight. I don't need eyes watching me every hour. So you're taken back to his home, and I assume you basically set up the standard train off of people keeping watch, and that's going to be it for you guys then, until the next day.
Yep. It's probably a good spot to stop, considering what time it is.
Yep, lots of setup, and then that was the next time is going to be the big payoff. So yeah, only 4 minutes left. Tons and tons of setup, and now tomorrow's next time is going to be the nice payoff. I have everything set already, for the most part.
I just want to say I really enjoyed like a lot of the little kind of setup things, like our little camping sim.